Congress, as Representative Jared Moskowitz pressed Nigel Farage over the ongoing controversy surrounding the Epstein files and Pam Bondi's mysterious binder, something strange happened in that hearing room. Something that captured exactly why this entire investigation feels like a maze built to confuse the public rather than inform it. Farage wouldn't answer the simplest question: where are you going after this hearing? Not a national security question, not a classified inquiry. Just, where are you headed? And his refusal to answer wasn't just awkward, it was symbolic.
With the president.
I'm being very polite, and I'm not going to tell you what I'm doing this afternoon, but I can assure you that...
But there's the free speech hearing. You're not going to tell me what you're doing this afternoon?
Free speech is one thing, discretion's quite another, too.
Okay. All right, so you're leaving to have lunch with the president. So, Mr. Farage, I have a question. Have you heard about the Epstein thing that's going on here?
I have.
You have? What do you think about it?
I'm not going to give comment on anything happening in America. I'm here as a witness.
Perfect.
I'm here as a witness.
I'm
here as a witness for what is happening in the United Kingdom and in the European
Perfect.
Union.
Let me just go through it. So it's been 9 months, right, since we've been meeting in these hearings. We've not had Pam Bondi here, even though we have jurisdiction over the Department of Justice. Not Dan Bondi.
The gentleman yield.
Not Kash Patel. I will 100%. We'll go back and forth. Let me just do my thing.
Okay.
And
Well, I'm just going to correct. Kash Patel's coming in 2 weeks. I'll give you an extra 10 seconds. Kash Patel, the director of FBI, is coming in 2 weeks, and the Attorney General's coming in 4 weeks.
Fantastic. But still, we're not doing that this week. The week we're having votes on the Epstein thing. So, Pam Bondi gives the influencers, these Republican influencers, a binder. It says Part 1 of the Epstein files. No one of you saw it. It was quite spectacular. The Attorney General then says the Epstein list is on her desk. Then DOJ issues a memo, says there is no list. Then, do you have any questions about any of that? We've had no hearings on any of that at all. That, the list is on my desk, then there is no list. Then we gave binders to Republican influencers. This committee had no questions on any of how that transpired at the Department of Justice. Then hold on.
Well, it sounds like you're going to in the next few weeks. So that's a jolly good thing.
Mr. Farage, we can talk soon, but not yet. Okay.
Right.
So then the president comes out and says the whole thing's a hoax. He blasts his own base. He blames Barack Obama. I mean, he hasn't been president for a very long time. Republicans then in committee vote against the release in the Rules Committee. Then Republicans refuse to go back in the Rules Committee because they're getting blasted for their vote, getting crushed by their own base. Congress leaves a day early. Then the administration sends the Deputy Attorney General to meet with Maxwell in jail. He happens to be Trump's former personal attorney. She says something favorable about the president. Miraculously, she gets transferred to a minimum security prison. The president starts talking about how he has the right to pardon her if he wanted to. The leaks to the Wall Street Journal then stop. We come back from break. We have the Massey petition. Comer does a document dump where 97% of these documents are already public. How long has he had those documents? Why hasn't he released them for the last 6 weeks? Does it the day of the vote. Then Republicans drop a non-binding resolution trying to kill the Massey discharge petition. The White House said passing the Massey discharge petition is a hostile act. Wow. That's a lot of distraction and deflection and misinformation. Wait, passing a discharge petition to release the Epstein files, the White House said would be a hostile act. Nope, we have no questions about that. But why? Why is it that we're spending so much political capital to keep this list from coming out? You think the list should come out? You think we should know the people who dealt with Mr. Epstein, Mr. Farage?
I thought I was coming to a hearing on free speech, not process.
Oh, well, listen, but here's the good...
It sounds like you're discussing process.
No. Do you think the list should come out?
I have no opinion on it. I don't know at all.
So we have victims that were sexually abused by potentially people in power, and we don't know who's on the list.
I'm very happy.
Hold on, Mr. Farage. We don't know who's on the list. We don't know.
We
don't know who's on the list. We don't know if the president is or is not. I'm not going to say he is or isn't. I'm just going to say these are weird behaviors. We don't know that there aren't other people in Congress that are on the list. Right? We have no idea. Do you think the list should come out? You think people in power should be held to account for these victims who have been sexually abused and assaulted? You think the list should come out?
I think that I'm very happy to come to a different hearing where you talk about legal process.
Okay.
But today,
Will the gentleman yield for a quick question?
I will yield.
Were you aware that he has already called for the Epstein file to be released? It has been reported that he has called for it to be released.
Oh yeah, right here, just to refresh your memory.
Yeah, but it's,
I happen to have this.
But that's not
How
what
random.
But that is not. Look, you can ask me if you like about
Do you agree
social
with
security
yourself?
policy.
Do you agree with yourself?
We are here to discuss free speech.
Hold on, it's awkward for your lunch after this? Do you agree with yourself?
No, it isn't at all.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, I'm just curious. This committee has jurisdiction over the
Gentleman's
Department of
time.
Justice.
Yeah.
Why have we allowed Comer to cover this up for the last couple of months?
As I said,
why is this committee not
I
taking
said 6 weeks
jurisdiction?
ago that we will have the FBI director in, we will have the attorney general in, and we are doing that in 2 weeks. You can you can go through that whole list. That whole list, you can do whatever you want to do with, I got lots of questions for the FBI director, including the whistleblower who came forward and told him that Adam Schiff leaked classified information. I want to ask him about that as well as the issues you all want to ask him about. That's why he's coming, so we can ask all these questions and follow the process, as Mr. Farage just talked about.
Mr.
The
Chairman,
gentleman
I
from Virginia.
unanimous consent.
Unanimous consent?
I'd like to enter the political article into the record that Mr. Farage said the Epstein file should be released.
Without objection. The gentleman from Virginia is recognized.
I thank the chairman. I want to talk about censorship tools that are being used by Europe and protectionist measures that have major consequences for U.S. companies and free expression.
Because every time someone asks a straight question about the Epstein files, about the disappearing list, about the sudden policy reversals, everyone involved seems to start speaking in riddles. And that moment set the tone for a story that only gets more tangled the deeper you go. The real twist begins with that binder, Pam Bondi's binder. A glossy, dramatic-looking packet labeled Part 1 of the Epstein files, handed out not to Congress, not to investigators, not to committees, but to influencers. People with cameras, followers, and political lean, but no subpoena power. And while Farage dodged questions, that binder stood as a reminder of the larger dodge happening across the entire government. Because right after influencers posted their big reveals online, celebrating access to something Congress still hadn't been given, the Department of Justice turned around and issued a memo saying there is no list, no files, no documents matching what Bondi had distributed. If there's no list, what exactly was in that binder? That contradiction hit the internet like a shockwave, and suddenly no one, from DOJ to committee chairs, wanted to talk about it. But that silence, that refusal to acknowledge the obvious questions, only fueled the suspicion that this wasn't incompetence. It was orchestration, and that's where the real pattern begins to emerge. Because long before influencers got binders and DOJ denied the existence of records, the Attorney General had reportedly said the list was on my desk. A direct statement. On my desk. Weeks later, DOJ publicly claimed no such thing existed. You can't have something be simultaneously on my desk and non-existent. Not unless someone is trying to redefine transparency with smoke and mirrors. Some say it was miscommunication. Others suggest internal factions weren't aligned. But online, the speculation has grown louder. Reports claim the messaging breakdown wasn't an accident, but a way to create enough confusion that no one would know which version to trust. A tactic that's been used before in high-profile, politically sensitive investigations. As Farage dodged, Moskowitz pressed, and Americans watched contradictions stack on contradictions. The sense grew that transparency wasn't the goal. Management of perception was. Then came the moment that took this from confusing to outright bizarre. While committees held hearings and survivors waited for answers, the administration sent a deputy attorney general, someone who previously served as Trump's personal attorney, to meet with Ghislaine Maxwell in prison. Within days, Maxwell was transferred to a minimum security facility. It wasn't subtle, it wasn't quiet, and it wasn't routine. She had just made comments favorable to the administration, and then suddenly the transfer happened. Now, the official explanation was procedural, but reports claimed the timing raised internal eyebrows. Meanwhile, online discussion exploded with speculation about whether that visit affected document handling, witness access, or the pace of disclosures. Nothing is confirmed. But when the government is already contradicting itself about whether a list exists, every unexplained action feels like another piece of a puzzle no one is allowed to solve. And right when tension was building toward accountability, the White House said something no one expected, calling efforts to release the files, specifically the Massey discharge petition, a hostile act. Think about that for a moment. A petition designed to force transparency on a matter involving survivors, financial networks, and potential abuse of power, labeled hostile. Not misguided, not unnecessary. Hostile. That one word electrified the political base. Even supporters who normally avoid controversy asked, why would transparency be hostile? When someone calls sunlight a threat, people start wondering what's hiding in the shadows. And that word hung over the next few weeks like a fog, thick and hard to ignore. That brings us to the strangest twist of all, the 97% dump. After weeks of pressure, after accusations and denials, after internal chatter about transparency, Comer dropped a stack of documents onto the public docket, and almost all of it, 97%, was already public. 6 weeks of holding these documents, and then releasing them right before major votes, suggested timing that felt strategic rather than informative. Viewers online noticed immediately. Analysts questioned why the committee would sit on documents that offered nothing new. If there was nothing substantive inside, why delay? And if there was something deeper, why not release it? That kind of selective disclosure only worsened distrust. Every move made things look more scripted, not less. And now we reach the heart of the matter. What exactly is everyone so afraid of? The survivors deserve answers. They deserve accountability. They deserve to know that the people who acted with Mr. Epstein are not shielded by wealth or influence. If the list is harmless, if it holds nothing politically damaging, then releasing it should be simple. If it reveals wrongdoing, then accountability must follow. And if it implicates individuals with financial, political, or institutional power, that's all the more reason the public should know. But secrecy creates speculation, and speculation creates fear. Rumors suggest that names on the list could span industries, finance, entertainment, politics, foreign influence. Reports claim some figures might include powerful donors, 1 or 2 European elites, or individuals with ties to government. None of this is confirmed. But when secrecy replaces transparency, rumor replaces truth. What would real accountability look like? It starts with something simple. A secure briefing where the actual materials are viewed by cleared members of Congress, without leaks, without theatrics, without binders mysteriously appearing in influencers' hands. Then a chain of custody log, documenting every step. Who handled the files, when, why, and under whose authority. And finally, an independent review from an inspector general or special counsel, whose only mission is to determine whether political influence shaped the release or suppression of records. These steps are not radical. They're standard. They're normal. They're exactly what should happen in any case where victims were harmed and powerful individuals might be implicated. Because the story of the Epstein files is not a story about paperwork. It's about people. Survivors who were promised answers. Families who were promised justice. A public that was promised transparency. And every evasive answer, every contradictory memo, every carefully timed dump of irrelevant documents chips away at the public's trust. Transparency isn't a hostile act. Silence is. If you found this breakdown eye-opening, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next chapter of this investigation. Like the video to push it through the algorithm so more people see what's really going on. And drop a comment telling me what parts stunned you the most. The binder, the contradictions, the prison meeting, or the hostile act statement. Your engagement keeps this story alive. And until the truth comes out, we're not stopping.